Almost 3 years ago now, I released my first ever 2-part video series. It was focused on rewriting Fortnite Chapter 2, a chapter that, while fun, I believe to be heavily flawed in its execution, especially when it came to story. Because of that, I thought it'd be an interesting idea to take my own approach and rewrite all 8 seasons of it, keeping it somewhat based off of the original story while adding my own spin on it. Part 1 released on August 5th, 2022, and Part 2 released a few months later on January 14th, 2023. Like I said prior, it has now been almost 3 years since that initial first part was released. A lot has happened since then. I had plans for a Chapter 3 rewrite video. I almost made the initial video as a real map thanks to the help of Genesis Studios. Yes, that Genesis Studios, that I was able to join in February 2023 thanks to those initial videos. If it wasn't for that stupid idea I had to rewrite the chapter, I probably wouldn't have been accepted in, and that's been a life-changing experience. The map did end up getting cancelled due to just me losing interest, but it was still very cool that it even had a chance of happening in the first place. But the passage of time has also had its downsides. While I have a lot of love for them, and they will always hold a strong place in my heart, as I've grown as a person, video editor, and in general a YouTuber, I recognize those videos are very flawed and not very fun to watch back on. Low quality audio, some despicable editing, and a whole lot more. But because those videos mean so much to me, I didn't just want to leave them as they were, hence why today, I decided I want to go back and rewrite the rewrite. This video will not only serve as a remaster, but will also include some changes where I think places aged poorly. Now I've done enough yapping. Similar to the original, this video will serve as part 1 and go through seasons 1 to 3. Part 2 will cover seasons 4 through 8.
Ladies and gentlemen.
When it comes to the story of Chapter 2 Season 1, I genuinely remove Alter and Ego entirely and replace them with Ghost and Shadow. Reason being, they simply don't really serve any narrative purpose to the story other than being a relatively uninteresting backstory to Ghost and Shadow, the actually interesting part of this arc. For this season, I'd have the teams just be small bases that will be built up over the course of the season, starting with 11.10 and finishing with the Season 2 update. There really doesn't need to be much story with this season because it's the start of the chapter and it's meant for players to get used to the island. Now content-wise, 11.01, nothing's going to change here, I'd keep it as the same update. Then with point 10, the production of the Ghost and Shadow bases begin with the legendary and epic versions of the pistol being added. Point 20, Harpoon got added, as well as more story progression. Serrano comes out and has a small base set up at Steamy, with the Shadow logo being spray painted in certain parts of the location. With her, I'd also add the suppressed sniper rifle, with the Ghost v Shadow bases at 25% completion. Point 30, for this update I'd add the Bandage Bazooka. Obviously, Crackshot's cabin would be here and the Star Wars event would still be the same. I'm not going to change it because there's really no point, it is just a massive waste of time. The bases are now halfway to completion. With the final update for Chapter 2 Season 1 starting with the progress report on the bases, the main buildings are now complete, the interiors are the only things that remain. With this announcement, the double barrel shotgun has been officially unvaulted. Also, upgrade benches have been added. Splodges of black goo would be left around Steamy stacks, ending with the famous Eye Island turning almost entirely gold. That's pretty much it for Chapter 2 Season 1. It's the beginning of the chapter, so there's pretty much nothing else I can really add here beyond that. First seasons are almost always rather tame compared to their future seasons, so I'm keeping that pattern here. Now let's move on to the one you're probably here for.
Disaster! That can only mean one thing!
Doggone it, you're right. It looks like they've ordered...
I'm taking a pretty different approach with this season's story. Midas, leader of Ghost, and Chaos Agent, leader of Shadow, start a war on the island. Chaos Agent is located at a vandalized and revamped Steamy stacks, while Midas has turned the Eye Island into an agency. As the season goes on, the other members from the Battle Pass will pick their side. An event will take place at the end, which I'll get into after we've talked about the content. Let's first discuss the actual season update though. Starting with map changes, Steamy has been completely revamped as a base for Chaos Agent, which now goes by Chaos Stacks, while Eye Island is now an agency for Midas. I'll give you one guess as to what it's called. Not only that, but newcomers to the island have also begun construction on their own bases, which include the Shark, the Grotto, the Yacht, and the Rig. The bases that were being built during Season 1 have also been finished with henchmen set up at each one. The new items include the Creeping Cardboard, Decoy Grenade, and Rapid Fire SMG. Vaulted items include the Bolt Sniper and Compact SMG, whereas unvaulted include the C4, Suppressed AR, and Suppressed Pistol. Mythics also make their return. The first mythic to be added will be Midas's Golden Pistol, available from launch, but a new mythic will be added every update. Starting with point 10, Grotto joins Ghost. Why? Well, to be brutally honest with you, Brutus's Ghost design is so much better than his Shadow design, and I know that's unpopular, but, well, I'm right and you're wrong. Grotto also brings the minigun back with a new mythic variant which can be obtained by killing Brutus. There's also a new rarity for the rapid fire SMG and a new item in the form of proximity mines. With the point 20 update, for no explainable reason, TNT somehow broke the laws of time and space and constructed Rickety Rig within the blink of an eye. TNT is joining Ghost, which will earn you her Kaboombo when you kill her. With this, she also brings her old prototype Boombo to the loot pool. Also, choppers finally make their appearance on the island. With the agency, Midas also begins building a device, which is definitely not event preparation. Chaos Agent also begins preparing to fight, planning an assault on the agency. Moving on to point 30, the day of reckoning for those who don't like collabs and battle passes finally occurs. Deadpool is here with his new mythic dual hand cannons and takes over Meowscles' yacht. Meanwhile, Meowscles is kicked down to a small little box factory because, I don't know, Deadpool's an asshole, I guess, and joins Shadow. He also has his mythic Pew Pew rifle. With both these changes comes the unvaulting of the dual pistols and heavy AR, and as a little bonus, the suppressed SMG. Point 40. Sky joins Shadow. The Shark has been formed into a prison for those who side against Shadow. Along with this change comes Sky's mythic assault rifle and mythic grappler. With the addition of a mythic grappler, the normal grappler has been unvaulted. Midas' construction continues, his invention seems to be pointed at Chaos Stacks, and is in the form of a cannon. New to the game is the Kingsman Umbrella, while the suppressed sniper rifle and suppressed pistol are vaulted. And we have once again reached the final update, 12.50. Probably the biggest update of the season, because obviously event preparation needs to kick into full gear here. Chaos Agent leaves the yacht in ruins, as his attempts to convince Deadpool to join him are a failure. Because of Deadpool leaving, his mythic dual hand cannons have been vaulted. Sky and Meowscles have now set up camp outside the Chaos Stacks. Meanwhile, Midas finishes his construction and Brutus and TNT set up near the agency. A new addition to the game this update, and the final addition of the season, are crash pads. Chaos Agent enters a cocoon as the final bit of event build-up. As a bit of a side note before we begin talking about the event, so the boss pairs aren't impossible to kill, one from each pair will spawn per match. For example, one match TNT and Sky might spawn, while the other match Brutus and Meowscles. Which one spawns is completely random, but it makes it a whole lot more fair than making players fight multiple bosses at once. Throughout the war, you've seen the agents pick their side and help their team. In this event, Midas will attempt to do more than just end the war. The event begins as Midas subverts expectations and charges the beam at the sky. A rift opens up and strikes the device, not only destroying the agency, but sending the player flying. Midas enters his Cyclo suit and flies up towards the rift as it causes havoc and tries to contain it. But he stops as he notices that Chaos Agent and his henchmen have not appeared. And suddenly a beam appears at Chaos Stacks, revealing Perfect Chaos, Chaos Agent's final form. I'm going to use the Chaos Origin skin here to represent this, because seriously, what the hell was the point of that form in the actual canon? Don't even get me started on how little sense it makes, and the fact they've teased the final form just to never show it. Regardless, he flies off towards Midas and we fight Shadow. This fight would have 3 stages. The first where you'd simply shoot at the goons with Sky's assault rifle. The second stage where you'd be put in a plane and would fend off Chaos's air force, which would also help you get a better look at Midas versus Chaos. The final stage is where you're teleported to Chaos Stacks and infiltrate it so you can take it back. Once the fight for Chaos Stacks is over, you are sent back to the agency where you watch as Perfect Chaos overpowers Midas and absorbs the energy of the rift. He wipes out Midas' army with a single energy blast, knocking the player out, and as the screen turns to black, a countdown appears and text showing to be continued in Season 3. Season 2 is a season that I think is naturally interesting because while it was a solid season, I felt it could have been handled a lot better than it was. It's also one that surprised me seeing Chaos wasn't involved at all, because it feels like he should fit in perfectly, especially after Season 1 built him up via loading screens. Chaos Agent as a whole is a character I think was very underwhelmingly handled throughout the entire game, which is sad because he really does have a cool premise and a great design. Epic's no stranger to mishandling characters, but it doesn't change that his fate still disappoints me even today. So when I began writing the initial video years ago, I knew I had to tie him in somehow, no matter what, and Team Shadow was undoubtedly the perfect way to do that. With that said, let's move on to the final season I'll be covering within this part.
When does Fortilla happen?
In 2 days.
Chapter 2 Season 2 was a different take on the iconic Spy season. This This is just going to be nothing like the Chapter 2 Season 3 we got at all, so don't go expecting that at all here. First, let me give you the rundown of the story. After the events of the device, Perfect Chaos becomes the Chaos King, and the Ruined Agency becomes the King's new base of operation, Chaos Tower. As the season goes on, you'll fight off his henchmen and join Ocean's efforts to take the island back. Deposit materials at the brand new Caddy Corner to fund bases, turrets, and expand the flotilla. At one point in the season, Jules becomes Eternal Night. At the end, come back to see the final result of your efforts throughout the season with an event to end it off. Since the overall theme of this season is very different, it wouldn't make sense if the Battle Pass remained the same, so we're changing that too. Chaos Agent is the tier 100 this season. Aquaman is not the secret skin, instead Jules is, as she will have story importance this season, and Eternal Night as an edit style, along with an unmasked style. Fade is a Battle Pass skin, but his second stage will be Henchman at the Chaos Tower along with a female variant. Siona would still be in the pass as she'd be one of the main focuses of the summer event. Wreck Raider would just be given Scuba Jonesy and all of his stuff's edit styles, with Anarchy Agent replacing Scuba Jonesy. Let's just get straight into the content. To begin with the season update, I think it'd be really funny if Chaos Agent ripped off Midas, so introducing the new Chaos Drum Gun. Meows's son Kit lives down at Caddy Corner. Eliminate him for the brand new Shockwave launcher. Ocean would keep her Mythic Burst, and it'd obviously be exclusive to the Flotilla, but her burst rifles can still be found all around the island. Chaos Stacks is now in complete ruins and has become an unnamed POI. New rarities for Hunting Rifle, Epic and Legendary, new consumables, corn and cabbages, Unvaulted, Compact SMG, Chug Splash, Hunting Rifle, Banana, and Peppers. Vaulted, Suppressed AR, Proximity Mine, C4, Creeping Cardboard, Rapid Fire SMG. Continuing with 13.10, big fan of arson? Yeah, so am I. The Chaos King's corruption spreads as Salty Springs becomes Salty Sideways. Available at Salty Sideways is the new Corrupted Assault Sniper, with the option to choose between a sniper and an assault rifle. A spaceship has also crash-landed near Craggy Cliffs. Then, 14.20, Flotilla expands. Slurpy Swamp becomes the Fort Factory. With this is the introduction of the new Slurp Bazooka. There'd be a summer update, which would be titled Cosmic Summer. Yes, I'm stealing from Season 7, it's my rewrite, I'm doing what I want. Begins with a party at Craggy Cliffs happening, set up by newcomers to the island, Siona and Dio. Spawn rates of Chug Splashes, Slurp Bazookas, and anything Slurp related increased, and for a limited time they have a 50% chance of giving an anti-gravity effect. A new space-themed water gun is added to the loot pool, which has two functions where spraying it on teammates heals them, spraying it on opponents will deal damage. There'd obviously be challenges all around the map where you'd earn a ton of XP and space and summer-themed cosmetics. Cosmic Summer would run through June 25th to July 20th. Moving on from the summer stuff, 13.30. Once again, corruption spreads further. Holly Hedges, Dirty Docks, and Craggy Cliffs have all received big changes. Holly Hedges, Haunted Hedges, Dirty Docks, Deadly Docks, Craggy Cliffs, Corrupted Cliffs. Along with this, Chaos King is now charging his power atop of the Chaos Tower. But not all is in vain. This season's secret skin, Jules, is now available. Doing her challenges has her become Eternal Night. 13.40, the Flotilla once again expands even further. Misty Meadows changes its name to Medical Meadows and has been equipped with more technology from the Flotilla crew, with an increased focus on survivability. Caddy Corner also expands and Kit is no longer hostile. In fact, he sells the charged shotgun, which will be added to this update. Thanks to Caddy Corner's contract with Flotilla, cars have also been added. And now, for the final update of Part 1, 13.50. Along with our final bit of event prep, turrets have been placed around Pleasant Park, Lazy Lake, and Frenzy Farm. Meanwhile, Chaos King has moved troops to Weeping Woods, Sweaty Sands, and Retail Row, and the Blade of the Eternal Night now rests upon a hill, waiting to be freed. Prepare for the final fight. While waiting for the event to start, players will be on a hill overseeing the Chaos King's activity. A neat detail would also be that the blade that once stood there has now been taken. Once the event starts, the king will send beams to Haunted, Corrupted Cliffs, Deadly Docks, and Salty, planting trees in the middle of them, which only expand his power. He immediately orders his troops to defend the trees, while Flotilla soldiers charge them with full force. Planes fly in and turrets start shooting. That's where the player comes in. You go down the hill and hop into a plane and are commanded to start shooting at the trees to weaken the king. However, the king spawns in some of his own troops that must be taken down first, before you can take down his source of energy. While this happens, Chaos King will fight Eternal Night. After half of his troops are killed and all trees are destroyed, the king becomes angry and puts his anger out on Eternal, stabbing her and winning their fight. He proceeds to lift up the Chaos Tower, splitting into 4 different parts and dropping all 4 parts into the ocean, as he then begins to lift the 0 point, making the map shake. Chaos King succeeds and begins to absorb it. Quickly realizing he can't take it, he starts to destabilize and disappears completely. Ocean assumes him to be dead and announces they won. All forces start to return home to the flotilla as she tells us she won't be at the victory party due to her needing to report to a figure you only get to hear as Doctor before Ocean is cut out as a reality wave is sent across the map and the screen turns to white as the player passes out and a screen appears saying, "Be continued in Season 4. And with that, we close out on part 1 of this 2-part video. I will say, I didn't end up changing as much as I was expecting to with this idea. Undoubtedly, I mainly just wanted to refine everything. I still agree with a lot of what I said all those years ago. In the initial video during the conclusion, I talked about how my mic quality wasn't the best, and yeah, it wasn't. At the time, the quality of those videos were the best I could do. I could have just not made it a video, but I wanted to have this rewrite that I'd been working on for months at that point be immortalized in some way. Now though, I actually have the power to make those videos look and sound good. Before I finish off, I want to go into what my plan was while writing this. What I wanted to do was take Epic's idea and story elements and expand on them, while also making my own thing. I think a lot of the characters and story elements in Chapter 2 were completely wasted, and some are just a complete mess, such as Midas and Chaos Agent themselves. They teased a final form for Chaos in one of his item shop tweets from a few years back, and to this day, we still don't know what that supposed final form is. And almost 3 years later, somehow Midas has become an even bigger mess than he was when I wrote this in 2022. The reason Chapter 2 Season 3 is such a filler season is because Season 2 finishes with nothing left for Season 3 to use as an actual story. Yes, the flood was cool, but I don't know what they could do with that. Hell, in my opinion, it would have been better if they just skipped the island being flooded and went straight to Marvel, even if I really liked Season 3 because it was genuinely chill and had massive summer vibes. I wanted to do this in a way I felt I could help improve the mess that was Chapter 2's story, and I know I just upset everyone by saying that, because Chapter 2 is generally considered as the peak of the game for this story. And in a lot of ways, yeah, it is, but it also isn't. I'm not saying this is a better version or that Epic should hire me or some egotistical shit like that, because to be honest, I'm sure those people who are both currently writing this story and those who used to write but have moved on are all great writers. And to be fair, writing a story for a Battle Royale game is very hard compared to a single player game, or really any other genre of game. But at the end of the day, I do think there was a lot of untapped potential with the story and seasons in general. COVID was definitely a factor in this too, to be fair, but it doesn't change the fact that what we got was pretty disappointing. If you did enjoy this rewrite and want to see more from me, please leave a like, and hell, even subscribe while you're at it. We're getting very close to 1,000 subscribers, and I would love to see that come true. Also, join my membership program if you want to. It's only £2, and I'm working to revive it at the moment, so let's see how long that lasts. With that said, thank you all for watching. I'll try to get part 2 out as fast as I can, and I'll see you all next time.